the first thing that I heard in my spirit was that there's people that are probably asking, well, if you're saying that this guy came and saved the world, why do we still have struggle? Why do we still have pain? Why do we still have all of these diseases and terrible things that happen? Well, first things first is we got to recognize that the world that we live in is a world that is filled with people who have choice. That's first. So if you're talking about accidents, calamities, that sort of thing, that's the thing with free will, right? We have choices to do what is right. We have choices to do what is wrong. A lot of those things can happen.
Which we should want as humans,
yes,
a choice,
yes,
right?
Yes. And the other part of this, that where people are like, well, what about the baby that has a disease or something like that? Well, there's a lot of things that play into that factor that I think we just commonly misattribute to God. And this is something we actually talked about in the in-person Game Changers event about God's nature. God is good. His character is good. Mm-hmm. And if you go back to the very beginning of the Bible, literally for those who are just maybe checking us out for the first time, or maybe you're checking out this God thing for the first time, Genesis 1, just do us a favor. Go through maybe that first chapter and look at every time God created something. You'll find that he said he saw it was good. Okay, mm-hmm. So I have to ask you the question, is disease good? Is sickness good? Is lack good? None of those things are good. So to blanket statement just say, oh, this must be God's doing is wrong, inherently wrong. God is not, he does not want people to suffer, and he certainly doesn't want babies to come into this world with disease. What is the result of that? Well, Matt just talked about it, sin. And it is habitual sin, which turns into what we call, sorry, I'm having a mind blank, but we just called it, what was the word again? I'm having a mind blank right now.
Iniquity?
Iniquity, yes, thank you. I don't know why I had a mind blank there, but iniquity. So that is purposeful sin, but what it also is generational sin that seeps into your bloodline. So in the same way that hereditary traits, like your eye color, your hair color, all of those things, maybe how tall you are, how short you are, get passed down, so do habits. So you can either have generational blessing of good habits or generational curses of bad habits that make its way down the line because people before you in your bloodline chose to make good choices or bad choices. You have nothing to do with that. You're like, how is that fair? Exactly. That's why Jesus came. Because Jesus wanted to make things fair. And by fair, I'm not talking about social justice. I'm talking about God's justice. He wanted to bring justice, judgment against Satan, not humanity. Against Satan. Why? God's nature is good. He wants us to have the opportunity to enjoy the good things that he has given us.
Yeah.
And so if you're probably doing a little bit of a head scratching, but I want to read a verse that is so cool, because when you think about God, or maybe you are still kind of getting used to this and you're like, well, I know about all these other gods that are talked about. Let me just ask you this. Is there any other god that you've heard about, Allah, maybe some of these Roman, Greek gods? Did they ever share in their divinity with humans? No. I'm going to share it real quick. This is 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 4. Again, you can find this in any Bible. I kind of want to read from the NLT because, Matt, you're right. Reading the these and thous kind of gets old. If you look at this is really cool. This is verse 3 of 2 Peter chapter 1. By his divine power, God has given us everything we need for living a godly life. We have received all of this by coming to know him, the one who called us to himself by means of his marvelous glory and excellence. And because of his glory and excellence, he has given us great precious promises. These are the promises that enable you to share his what? Divine nature, and escape the world's corruption caused by, here it is, human desires. So that's that sin thing.
Yeah.
Matt, what other God have you heard of who came off his throne out of heaven to become like us, to become us, and then died for us so that he could share his divine nature so we could have his same power? Any other God you heard of do that?
Well, first of all, let's just talk about there's no God so except one.
It was a trick
God.
question, folks.
Yeah. So let's just cut to the chase and answer that. But if we want to decipher it from politically correct religions, respect all religions,
Little gods.
little gods, whatever. Okay, no. So Buddha didn't do that. Okay, they claimed he was a god. Go down the list. I mean, even Jacob, you're a historian. I mean, let's even talk about how they looked at different world history people. I mean, Genghis Khan, go back to the Ming dynasty. I mean, I never saw that.
Right.
So let's talk about. Go ahead, Jacob. You got
Any
something?
of the pharaohs? Any of the
Pharaohs, yeah. Ramses, no.
Yeah, throughout the ancient world, rulers just telling everybody that they were a god was a way of kind of keeping everybody from revolting, because how can you revolt against a god? And so in order for that structure to work, though, they had to hoard all the power and all the divinity, and they could never share any good thing with the people underneath them. So kind of the expectation of gods was that they were cruel and selfish and mean, and that they never interacted with anybody in a nice way. And then obviously Jesus comes along and he's like, hey, what's up? I want you guys to have every good thing. And I want you guys to be with me in eternity.
Yeah.
And I want to give you guys divine power as my people to do. And it was just. The Romans couldn't wrap their head around it. The Jews couldn't wrap their head around it because it was the first time that anybody who said that they were a god wanted to then also do good.
I mean, the Egyptians couldn't wrap their head around it till literally the plague with the death angel pretty much came, and then even still Pharaoh changed his mind.
Right.
I mean, because
still couldn't figure it out.
Because wasn't their main god in Egypt Ra? Was it? That's what it was. It wasn't.
Egypt bounces around.
Yeah, they had several.
But Ra was one of their major gods.
Yeah,
one of their big three.
And you mentioned that every plague was actually God basically casting judgment against their gods.
A different one of their major gods. Yes.
Yeah. And the final one with the Red Sea parting was against the god that they thought
this
the Israelites are ours because our water god is gonna do, and God was like, by the way, just so you know,
right? And it says that he parted the Red Sea with a blow from his nostrils, so he didn't even just boom, destroyed it.
Oh my gosh, man!
Like clearing his nose. You're right.
Yeah.
Just snot rockets.
So I want to go back to this really quick about what I was just to tie it in. For those who are still trying to wrap their head around, how can there be evil in this world and there's such a good God? Well, this is where Yeshua, Jesus, dying for us on the cross, and taking the keys to death, hell, and the grave, like Matt was saying, and then rising again. So that's the other part we got to remember. He was resurrected and he's ascended. Yep. What that means is he is living God right now. His ministry didn't just stop. His ministry continues today. And we have access to that same authority and power that he exhibited on this earth. So your situation is temporary.
Yes.
There is no permanency in any sin that has come against you or that has afflicted you. There is healing power for any disease. There is deliverance from any sort of oppressive thoughts, suicidal thoughts. And there is restoration for maybe lost dreams, for dreams that you've given up on, maybe feeling like you don't have a future. You now have that access by simply coming to the revelation that Jesus did what he said. He's living, and you're willing to surrender your life to live a life for him.
Yeah, and that.